Toastmaster Omar is a relatively new member, but he is very promising, very intellectual, and very ruthless in his evaluations, and equally creative in his speeches. So please give him a big round of applause.
It is? Pakistan's GDP is $300 billion. That means the overall economic activity that happens in Pakistan in 1 year is $300 billion. There's another country, Finland. It also has a GDP of $300 billion. Pakistan's population is 215 million people. And Finland's population is 5 million people. If you think about this, it's an astonishing fact, because it means that the average Finnish person produces as much as 50 average Pakistani people. How can this be the case? Hello, Toastmasters and guests. Today I want to speak about why some countries are rich and why some countries are poor. Economists give a lot of reasons for this. They talk about institutions and technology and geography and so on. But I want to tell you what, in my perspective, is the most important reason. And that is the ratio between the increase in economic activity and the increase in population. My thesis is, if all the increase in economic activity in a particular year is consumed by the increase in population, then stagnation is the only future of that country. Now, let me talk about why this is the case. Firstly, if the rate of increase in population is more than the rate of increase of economic activity, then capital formation cannot take place. Capital formation is the economic surplus that is accumulated that can be invested in the economy in the long term. Pakistan's population growth rate is 10 times that of Finland, which means that if the level of economic activity is the same, then Finland has at least 10 times as many resources that it can invest in its economy in the long term. And naturally, that means that the Finnish economy will do much better in the long term. Secondly, a key factor in economic development is the resources that are invested in every individual. Finland spends 2 times as much as Pakistan on its schools, but it has 50 times less students, which means that each Finnish student has 100 times the resources that each Pakistani student has. That means that it is much more likely that each Finnish student can achieve his full potential. And it is extremely unlikely that each Pakistani student can achieve his full potential. A lack of economic activity, and especially if all additional economic activity is subsumed by an increase in population, also makes the country unstable. Political instability and food instability and resource instability are all factors that then come into play, and they interfere with the long-term economic growth of the country. I hope by this point I have convinced you that the long-term economic growth of the country cannot take place if all additional economic output is consumed by an increase in population. The question now becomes, what can we do about this? There are two ways we can solve this. First is we can bring the rate of population down by spreading awareness about family planning and contraceptives, so that at least people know what tools they can use to make sure they have families of the size that they can manage. The second thing is we can borrow technology which will increase productivity in Pakistan, and that will help us accumulate capital both in the short term and the long term, which will then develop Pakistan as a country. The key takeaway point from this speech is, unless the increase in our economic activity is not more than the increase in our population, Pakistan will stagnate. And thank you.